Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for today's live stream as we talk more about immigration. If you happen to be part of the webinar we ran earlier today, we just ran a really great session here at the Edmonton International Airport about Advantage Canada and attracting teams from all over the world to come set up and operate in Edmonton and the Edmonton metropolitan region. And we've got a little special bonus section right now. We've got Sarah Finall, who's an outreach officer with the Department of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. She's been there since 2018. Sarah joined the government in about 1998, so she's got a ton of experience. And she was formerly named the Department of Citizenship and Immigration. In 2006, she joined IRCC's Foreign Service and has served in India, Ukraine, Italy, and most recently as Migration Program Manager for Peru. So a ton of experience, really great international knowledge. And Sarah, thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Chris. Great to be here. So good afternoon for our participants who may be somewhere else in the world. Well, fantastic to have this opportunity to talk about our programs.
Yeah, and just before we get started, I love that background. The whole theme around Choose Canada is certainly what we're about. When we look at what's going on in the world and what's happening here in Canada, this is a fantastic place to be. And so thanks so much for helping spread the word about what actually is happening here. Okay, you as an outreach officer.
Yes, absolutely. So in 2015, IRCC started to have outreach officers across Canada to be able to engage and promote Canada's immigration programs. This was expanded in 2017 with the launch of the Global Skills Strategy, which we'll talk about in more detail during this conversation, I think. And so in 2018, that was really expanded. And so now we have outreach officers based across Canada. We cover all the provinces and territories, and we are here as a point of contact and a resource for employers, industry associations, economic development organizations, any other stakeholder that is looking for information about our temporary and permanent economic immigration programs.
Okay, so you started that by saying the Global Skills Strategy. So what is that? Maybe tell us a bit more.
Absolutely. So the Global Skills Strategy was launched in June 2017. And this was an initiative by the Government of Canada to provide a faster and more predictable process for employers seeking to attract top talent to Canada. So this strategy features various work permit exemptions, a faster processing time for work permits in non-COVID times, just caveat that, and enhanced client service. So in order to fully understand the Global Skills Strategy, I'm just going to give a quick Immigration Work Permit 101 session. So how do work permits work in Canada? We basically have two pathways. And one is through what we call a Labour Market Impact Assessment process, or LMIA. And that is administered by our partner department, Employment and Social Development Canada, ESDC. And that's essentially when an employer in Canada says, I can't find a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or Indigenous person to do that job, and so I would like to hire someone from outside of Canada. We also have what we call International Mobility Program work permits, and these are exempt from that labor market assessment process because they bring some other benefit to Canada, and that can be social, cultural, or economic. So when we're looking at companies, for example, that are seeking to perhaps establish a branch or subsidiary in Canada, we do have a labor market exempt process for that work permit, called an intercompany transfer. And that can be used both for a company that's already established or for a company that's seeking to start that branch or subsidiary. Now, so for those two ways to get the work permit, their end result for the applicant is the same. But within Global Skills Strategy, those highly skilled individuals that are coming to Canada in a non-COVID world would be eligible for a service standard processing time of 2 weeks. And to put that into context, our normal service standard for outside of Canada work permit applications is 2 months.
Okay, even that's pretty quick, but 2 weeks is amazing.
Yes. In non-COVID times, we are doing our best, of course, to adapt and to look for new ways to innovate and maximize our capacity.
Okay, so just give me a sense of what kind of the size or scope of this program is. How many people are actually able to take advantage of it? Again, we're just going to have this whole conversation of, the non-COVID times.
Exactly. So to date, since 2017, when we launched this initiative, it's been very well received by companies in Canada. We have received over 49,000 applications just for the primary applicants. So that's not including their accompanying family members. And I'll touch on why accompanying family members are also something that's a real positive in the Canadian immigration system. And so over 49,000 applications received to date, as of August 31st. And our approval rate for these primary applicant work permits is 93%.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's a really positive program. It's working well. Top 3 occupations that we see through Global Skills Strategy are our computer programmers and interactive media developers, information systems analysts, and software engineers and developers and designers.
And those are all really good fits for the Edmonton region. We're one of, as you know, one of the leading centers, not just in Canada, but in the world in AI and machine learning. And we have a really great video games industry, interactive digital media industry, really led by people like BioWare and Improbable and Beamdog. So those are pretty good fits. So hopefully a fair number of those people are coming here.
Exactly. It's very tech focused. So really the global skills strategy has been very well leveraged and utilized by a lot of the tech industries and the tech companies that are expanding into these new and innovative types of fields. So I talked about the primary applicant. Something to note about the Canadian immigration system is that we encourage families to move together. So when a primary applicant is a skilled worker coming to Canada on a work permit, the spouse is also eligible to apply for an open work permit for the same validity as that primary applicant, and the children can apply for study permits.
Oh, so, that's fantastic.
And we will process those applications all at the same time with that expedited service standard.
Oh, so they can actually all come together then at the same time.
Exactly. So really a benefit to keep the family together and helps with the integration and learning the new environment and establishing in Canada.
Okay. So I'm just curious. I know there's a lot of firms that are either in the US or maybe they're from other parts of the world looking to come into North America. How does that, ease of entry compare to what's happening south of the border?
Yeah, so Canada's immigration programs haven't changed. We have still the same stability in our work permit processes. There's not a lot of movement or change in how we administer those. The same with our permanent resident processing. So despite the COVID pandemic, and we can talk a little bit later maybe about the very specifics of what's happening due to COVID, because of course it is having implications. But despite the COVID pandemic, we are continuing to process all business lines. And so we don't have specific restrictions because of COVID outside of the overall travel restrictions or border closure implications that are in place.
Well, we may come back and do a whole another session just on COVID and what's going on with immigration, because I think for the next several months it's still going to continue to be an issue. But I do know that people are still continuing to come to Canada. We're still bringing workers in from around the world, so that's all really good news. But I just want to circle back to the program. So we talked about the global skills strategy, but there's also a global talent stream.
Exactly.
So what's the difference between the two?
Yeah, so Global Talent Stream is part of the Global Skills Strategy Initiative.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but Global Talent Stream is, when we talked, the reason I went into that 101 about how work permits operate in Canada is because the Global Talent Stream is an expedited LMIA process. And that is administered by our partner department, Employment and Social Development Canada. So within the Global Talent Stream, there are certain occupations that are known to be in demand, that ESDC has determined are in demand in Canada, or there is also some scenarios where a company may have a very unique and specialized talent need, and there's not an LMIA exemption that may be applicable. And so again, with a referral, and we'll talk about referrals, that company can use the Global Talent Stream with ESDC for an expedited processing. And it's a 10-day LMIA process. And the ESDC works with the company to, maintain benefits for Canadians. They work on a benefit plan for that company and the assessment of how those applications are working.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about how quick it is to pull people in. What about how long people can stay? Is it pretty easy to bring somebody in, and because I know we can turn that around really quickly, but also to keep them here longer term?
Yeah, so most of our work permit processes or categories are extendable. It depends. In some of our free trade agreements, we do have limitations as to how long those individuals can stay, but we do have lots of transition pathways into permanent residence. So when we look at highly skilled talent, obviously companies may want that for a permanent retention purpose. And so, if permanent retention is the end goal, immigration has lots of possibilities for companies to retain that talent within Canada. So we have our express entry system. This is an online portal to receive permanent resident applications in our key economic categories. We also work very closely with our provinces and territories who have the ability to select their own immigrants for particular regional or local needs. And so they can design those programs according to what's needed in the province and territory. So it's very much a collaborative approach. So there's the federal programs that are across Canada, and then individual provinces and territories also have their own pathways that may be the appropriate route for an individual, depending on where they're based and their skills and their overall profile.
Okay, that's great to know because Canada is a gigantic country and there's different needs in each location. Like for the Edmonton metropolitan region, the areas we're really focused on are agriculture and food, health and life sciences, energy and clean tech, manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, and of course, that whole AI and tech sector. So knowing we've got the ability to work with the province and employers to pull in people specifically to help, put a little jet fuel into those industries is really good to know.
Absolutely. And there is also some boutique pilot projects that have been initiated by the Government of Canada. For example, the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, and that's sort of community-based. We also launched an agri-food pilot, which is specifically to deal with those workers who may not be highly skilled in terms of what we think of as skilled worker, but are very necessary and are very competent and have those skills that we need to drive our agricultural industry.
Oh, that's fantastic. And just speaking about agriculture, I'll put a plug in for a webinar we're hosting next week. So on October the 28th, we're doing a webinar on plant protein fractionation. So if you haven't signed up for that one yet and you're interested in plant proteins, that's a great webinar that's coming up. You can find out more information on our site. Because there's so much happening all over the place. So just as we're starting to wrap up here, Sarah, I've got two questions left for you. Well, maybe more, but hopefully just these two. What else is important for companies to know as they're seeking to invest or establish in Canada?
Yeah, so absolutely. The component that I just wanted to touch on, another element of the global skills strategy, really important. We have referral partners based across Canada. These are organizations that IRCC has MOUs with to make determinations as to companies that are making a significant investment. And if one of our referral partners determines that a company is making a significant investment, they can refer them to the dedicated service channel for an account manager, and that account manager will work with them to discuss immigration options, their long-term strategy, what are the programs and that may be appropriate for what they're planning to do in Canada. So this is something that is in place to provide that very sort of specialized service. And Edmonton Global, I'm pleased to say, has agreed to be a referral partner, so that's great. We had 54, we will have 55 referral partners across Canada. It's also important to remember the talent that's already available in Canada. So we have a great network of universities and colleges and post-secondary institutions, and so there's an extensive, highly skilled local talent pool. So that is available for companies to tap into. And then if they need a resource that can't be found within Canada, of course, we've talked about those various pathways for them to be able to bring those highly skilled individuals from outside of Canada to support their ongoing operation and growth.
And I know we certainly talk to a lot of companies that have a small leadership core team that they want to bring here to start a company and then attract local talent to beef that up and maybe bring in some specialized roles. So it's just nice to know that really it's built to accomplish that and to accommodate that. And it's that mix of international talent, local talent that really helps some of these companies absolutely sing and thrive. So last one, and again, I think maybe we could do a whole session on this. Around the COVID-19 piece, Are there big impacts? Is it slowing down the process a little bit? What should companies expect if they're trying to start something right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, COVID has had impacts. It's had impacts across the world. It has had impacts for our applicants, for our processing capacity. We are doing our best, of course, with respect to global skills strategy, to make sure we're doing everything we can to reduce processing times. However, of course, during the pandemic, we've had to prioritize certain essential occupations, such as in healthcare and maintaining the food production in Canada. It's also important to realize that travel restrictions do prevent, for the most part, a lot of travelers coming from outside of the U.S. If you're coming from the U.S., you need to be for an essential purpose, and this is really has been a challenge for business visitors. So individuals who are wanting to come for meetings or to start that dialogue face to face with potential investors, for example, or looking for sites to establish in Canada, due to the COVID pandemic and the travel restrictions and border closures, business visitors are not exempt from those travel restrictions. So, and even if they're coming from the United States, it has to be for an essential purpose, and often that can be challenging to satisfy. So at this point in time, those initial meetings that really start that flow have been a challenge. So looking to diversify into the virtual world to make those things happen, because once you have the work permit, then you are exempt from the travel restrictions. So individuals that have got their work permit and are ready to start that operation in Canada or begin working in Canada, they are exempt from those travel restrictions and can travel.
Okay, that's fantastic. And I know, Sarah, with great people like you and others on your team, if someone's having a challenge or needs some help, they've got such a great resource to reach out to. So again, thanks so much for all that you're doing. And for those of you who are who've joined us online, again, if you go to edmontonglobal.ca, we're going to have content, relating to how to access these different streams on our site. As well, earlier today, we hosted a webinar around, again, the same idea of attracting teams to Canada. So there's some more rich content there. Hopefully the sound here was okay. We've had some planes taking off in the background that may have had a little bit of rumbly noise in the background. But again, thanks so much, Sarah. Thanks to everybody who's tuned in. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and we'll chat again soon.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
You too. Okay, bye.